Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Screenwork Entertainment. Today, we're going over another underrated movie, or I feel that is underrated. It is one of my favorite horror flicks called It Follows.
So I gotta ask, where did you even hear about this movie?
It Follows?
Because until you told me about it, I never heard of it. I actually thought you were talking about the sequel to It. I didn't know if it had a name like that or if it was just It Part 2. And then I look it up and I see this. And I was like, what the hell?
I don't even remember. I just remember seeing it one day, and I was looking for horror movies, and I was like, well, I'll check this out. And I was like, this movie's fucking awesome.
And that's partly on my bad because I don't watch horror movies. I'm not a big horror fan. So that's one reason this was just totally obscure to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that you would see advertising on TV. You know, it's like, it's one of those, I think, under the radar movies that kind of has got a little bit of a following now. So I think they're talking about making a sequel.
Is it
The
really
premise,
a horror flick though?
I mean, they consider it a horror flick. Yeah, I believe they do. But the premise is what kind of is why I think it's underrated. You know, because the premise is so ridiculous. You know, you have sex to pass on this entity that is just following you constantly, and once it gets a hold of you, you know, it kills you and it goes back to the person previous. It keeps going down the line. And I think that's why this movie is underrated, is because of the premise. Did the premise throw you off at all?
No, I found it silly that they just embodied a STD.
Yeah, exactly.
Is kind of what I took it as. I was like, oh, this is kind of goofy. It was I don't know. I'm not a horror fan, so
Yeah, I really like horror movies, and I like a good original idea of a horror movie. And I thought this was pretty original, and I love the music in it. Like the kind of, it's almost like old school.
you
Just
liked that?
I loved it, man. I thought it was really good, especially like the opening. You know, when the girl
Oh
comes running
Lord.
out, and the way the camera is turning around her, and the music. I really liked it. That's one of the things that kind of drew me in.
See, that was one of the things that I really noted was how bad I thought the music was.
Yeah, huh? I thought it
And
was
lack
awesome.
of music. There's lots of moments in that movie where there's nothing. It's just complete silence.
But that kind of adds to the suspense and the feel of the movie. That's why I think it's so good.
I don't know. I just didn't feel this one. Like I said, I'm not a fan of horror flicks, so
Well, in this movie, though, we follow our main character Jay, who is dating this guy who turns out has this entity, and when he finally sleeps with her, one of the cool parts of this movie, after he sleeps with her, he drugs her, but he's trying to show her what is after her, because this thing, you won't believe it if someone just tells you. You actually have to see it. In that scene, whenever that chick is just walking slowly after her, and that's the thing he says. It's very slow, but it's not dumb. That really sets the tone of the movie. I thought. And then whenever like she wakes up, when she goes to the hospital and she's at home, and you're just waiting the whole time. It's like, well, when is this thing gonna show up? When's it gonna be there? And when it finally does, it just, man, I just thought it was a really cool premise. Really liked it. And I really hope they make a sequel. I know they are talking about making a sequel. I did look it up.
oh,
So
dude.
I hope they do, yeah, because it'd be pretty awesome. But if you're into horror flicks, I mean, I wouldn't pass this one up, because this one I think is a pretty good horror flick. But if you're like Trevor here, not too much into horror, it could be why it's underrated, in my opinion.
When old dude's mom started humping him, that was really disturbing. The dude that banged her in the hospital.
Oh yeah. I know. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, I know.
That
Whenever
was
she passes on to him, and then he's at home, and just then her mom comes in, she's like banging on the door. He opens it, and she comes in there, just jumps on him, and
Yeah, and then
yeah,
she
it's
just
really
starts
weird.
riding him. You're
Yeah,
like, oh my
yeah,
god, that's so
it's yeah.
disturbing.
I know it was very disturbing. She's like naked, and she's like starts like merging in with him. It's weird. When you watch, she's like riding him. It's really, really weird.
And so my question about the ending: did the little pervert bang the hooker, knowing that it would spread like wildfire and he wouldn't have to worry about it coming back to him?
That's what the idea. Yeah, yeah, that was the idea. But you see also there at the end when they're together, they just decided to they'll just sleep together and they'll just have to worry about this thing themselves. That way they don't kill nobody else. Is the way I took it. Because you see in the back, you see someone walking,
Yeah,
like following them.
because I know, but before that, he drives by hookers, and you're
Yeah,
like, oh, is he going to pass it on? So he doesn't have to worry about it. But then you see that.
yeah. I think that kind of backfired because they sleep with the hooker. It's kind of like the same thing whenever
You think
she
he
goes.
did sleep with the hooker?
I think so. Yes.
Okay, because it could be taken because when you see the figure walking behind him at the end, that maybe he was just thinking about it and then didn't do it.
I think he did. Just like a lot of people are unclear if she slept with those two guys on the boat.
Yeah.
I think she slept with two guys on a boat to try to pass it on, and then she doesn't worry about it. But if it's kind of like in the beginning of the movie, if you don't show them what's going to happen, they're just going to get killed right off. Same thing with the
Yeah.
hooker. Same thing with the two guys in the boat.
Yeah, it's basically just because a lot of horror films are the tales of promiscuous teens, the dangers of it, and I just took this as a different spin on it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
But
I
it's
was
just,
really interested in the entity.
they made the entity an actual embodiment of almost an STD, and the way I looked at it, and I
Yeah,
found
yeah,
that kind
exactly.
of amusing.
Yeah, that's how I took it too. The first time I watched it, I was like, yeah, "This is pretty interesting." They took that idea and made that the villain, and which is cool. Yeah, I thought was really cool.
But instead of living with their decision, their choice, they decide to spread it to other people.
Well, but then at the end, I think they decided, well, we're just gonna.
After the numerous people have died.
Yeah, after numerous people died. Yeah, like okay, we're just gonna live with this. as
I
long as
just
we
gave
can.
all these people AIDS and they died. So
They all died.
well, fuck it. I'll just suck it up and deal with the consequences now.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It was interesting. I'm glad I watched it. It's not like one of those movies where I was pissed off for having wasted that time. But yeah, it was interesting, but laughable at times for me too.
Yeah, if you're into horror flicks, I really think you should check this movie out. It's a pretty good movie in my opinion. It is definitely underrated. I know you can watch it on, I believe it's on Netflix, and I believe it's on Amazon. They may have taken it off Netflix already. But
Well, I know the thing made a lot of money compared to what it was made for, because it was made for under 2 million and it made over 20 in the box
Yeah.
office.
yeah, but when you ask someone, have you watched It Follows? Anyone I've ever spoke, just like you, I've never heard of that movie. So
Yeah.
that's why I thought it was underrated.
Well, it just didn't get a real wide release from what I saw when I went and did some digging on it. Like it was released at Cannes, and then it took almost a year for it to finally hit theaters after it released at Cannes. But they said it was praised at Cannes.
Anyways, guys, that is it for this movie. Let me know if you think it's underrated in the comments, because anyone I have ever spoken to has never even heard of it. Also, let me know, is the entity still following them at the end, or did he pass it off to those prostitutes? It's kind of up in the air. Let me know what you think. Put in the comments. Thanks for watching.